Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials. Good morning, it's 6 o'clock on Sunday the 17th of April. Just making my way down to the land, and as always, not quite sure what we're going to get done today, but let's find out. Well, here we are down on the land. It's a very pretty morning with the sun just peeking up above the trees there. Bit of dew on the grass. A lot of stuff to bring down from the car, as always. There's always something else that you need to collect. Anyway, I'll go get the wheelbarrow to drag that in. Bit damp on this grass. I don't know if you can see that on the video or not. Morning dew, very pretty. Hopefully we'll have a repeat of Friday and Saturday in terms of weather. Started off a bit cool, but then quickly brightened up and got actually quite hot in the afternoon. I can hear the old cockerel crowing away in the background there, so when I get myself in, opened up, sort the chickens out, and we'll have a little chat and see what I can get done today. Well, as usual, first things first, sort the chickens out. Something a little bit different for them today, and they don't quite know what to make of it. I've got some crackers that I've crushed up and put into a little pile there and scattered some around, and it's a bit of an experiment. They're not as enthusiastic as they normally are, but they're eating it, so that's good. I'm trying to get an alternative to this pre-packaged mixed seed and corn, so we'll see how we get on with this little experiment. Just checking the coop, food and water. Food's okay, I've just topped the water up. Egg production seems to have gone back to its usual, 6 hens, 6 eggs. Nice to see. After the winter break, they always lay less in the winter time. But one thing they never stop doing is producing all this mess. So I'm going to quickly get that scooped up, then I can get in the cabin with my coffee and have a little chat. Well, good morning. It is officially the weekend. The Friday video was a little bit of a bonus of the Easter weekend. Hope you all had a great weekend. Catching up with all those things that you keep putting off, or perhaps catching up with family and friends. Always important. Got to keep in touch with the people that you care about, and particularly the ones that care about you, and forget the rest. So, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, hope you're staying safe and well and enjoying your weekend. Bit of a combo video this weekend. We're rolling Saturday and Sunday into one. Partly due to time, but mainly due to this bloody COVID nonsense. As I am finding it quite tiring. I'm not feeling particularly ill as such. There's no great coughs and splutters. The odd headache here and there, but mainly tired. Doing stuff, manual labour type stuff, I'm finding that I'm getting quickly worn out. I'm old, so I get worn out anyway, but more so than usual. So fingers crossed we'll get rid of this over the next few days and it'll be back to business as usual. It's just typical, I guess, that I get it at the bank holiday weekend when I could be out doing loads of stuff and really making some big progress. But we are still making some progress, and that's what counts, I guess. Must say a big thank you. People are commenting in the videos. Surprisingly, there were 11, I think, last time I looked, comments on Friday's video. Thank you to the people who have wished me well in getting rid of this this COVID. Do appreciate that. But thank you in general for commenting. It's really nice to see what people are up to, how they're getting on. And it's not just for me, it's for other people that watch the videos and to take the time to look in the comment section. So whatever you are leaving in there, it not just helps me, it helps them as well. Great to see that so many people have got started with the planting. Lots and lots of people telling me what they're planting, and a great variety of stuff as well. It's not just peas and carrots and potatoes. There's a whole range of stuff. So if you haven't looked in the comment section on that video, take a little look and see what everyone's up to. So yeah, it's good to see that people are getting cracked on and starting to produce their own food. I did have a comment. Some people comment in the comment section. Some people reach out to me via email, and we have a bit more of an in-depth discussion backwards and forwards when I have the time. As those of you who do email me know, sometimes it takes a day or two for me to get back. Life is hectic with work right now. The new job is keeping me very busy. I've got all this nonsense with the house sale and to move to the new house going on in the background as well. Solicitors seem to take great joy in spending 3 days to write one email or letter to you. And then of course they're ringing you up the next day saying you've not replied yet. So lots of stuff going on in the background that's keeping me preoccupied. I'd much rather be down here pottering around or kicking back with a coffee and just watching the world through the garden room windows, but needs must. Anyway, I digress, as I often do. Someone popped a comment in an email, and I hope you don't mind me saying, but it was you, Heather. I know you don't normally comment on the videos, you rather correspond via email. And you popped an interesting question to me, so I thought I'd share it with everybody on the cabin chat today. And the general question was, and I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember exactly, it's COVID brain fog going on, but it was along the lines of, what are my triggers for using my preps? And then it was, you know, is it a riot? Is it World War III? What is it that would trigger me to kind of locking down and starting to live off my preps rather than going out and doing shopping as normal? And it's a really interesting question. It's kind of related to a video I put out probably a couple of years ago now. If I have a chance, I'll try and scroll back through the hundreds of videos that there are now to find the video and maybe leave a link in the comments or the video description. Again, if I remember correctly, because I've not looked, the video was something along the lines of, what are we prepping for? And I went on to talk about various scenarios. And your question, Heather, kind of reminds me of that. And it's not necessarily that there is a specific point in time where all of a sudden I bunker down in the house or here on the land and live off my preps and never go out again. There are lots of scenarios where we would perhaps need to use our preps. They can range quite widely from the World War through end of the world apocalypse type scenario, and then back through varying stages of crises until you get to the everyday mundane type crisis. So if it's okay, I'll answer your specific question, but also this might act as a prompt to people who have not yet started prepping or who are just on the fence and don't know whether it's worth it or not. So prepping in general, the idea is that you become less dependent on the grid, the world around you, and more reliant on yourself. You're able to sustain yourself and your family without needing to get a handout from the government, go to the supermarket, whatever, in order to get by day to day. And I've seen lots of first-hand examples through my previous life of how fragile the grid is. We're all seeing that right now. And being in a position to sustain myself when stuff stops working or stuff stops moving around. Some kind of lower end examples would be intermittent power cuts. I've had lots of times over the years where I've woke up in the morning or I've been sat watching TV and all of a sudden, boom, everything goes off, lights go off, TV goes off, fridge goes off. Now, in the Western world, these kind of outages for power are generally very short-lived, a matter of hours or a day or so at the most, and then the power's back on again. But it doesn't take long for your life to be completely upended by even a short outage. How long will your fridge or freezer last without mains power? Particularly if you're having to go in there every 5 minutes to open the door to get the milk out or whatever it happens to be. How long will your phone, your laptop last without mains power? Everybody's on the phone endlessly nowadays, and there's this ritual throughout the day. You see it particularly at airports of people running around in a blind panic trying to find somewhere to plug in the phone because the battery's dying. So even small scale things like a temporary power outage can have a massive impact on your ability to sustain your normal life. In the UK, we've had, strange as it might sound, we've had floods, and the flood has caused not just a disruption in being able to move around and go to the supermarkets, but it's actually had a knock-on effect on the water supply. You find, I don't know why it is, but if there's major flooding, I don't know if it's the sewerage system getting backed up and it finds its way back into the water supply. I don't know what it is, but a number of times, in addition to the chaos of trying to move around, or worse, your house itself being flooded and you've had to move out, quite often the water goes off as well. So similar kind of thing. How long can you survive without the tap water coming on when you turn the tap? And how much stuff have you got in the house if you can't actually get out to the shops? The fuel crisis, we've seen lots of examples over the last year where there's been panic runs on fuel and people have turned up at the fuel station and there isn't any, sometimes for days. So again, how long can you survive without fuel? So there's lots of reasons, small scale reasons, these temporary disruptions, why it's a good idea to have some kind of redundancy, some backup for mains grid utilities, or even more important, some backup if the supermarket's not operating properly, you know, having that food supply built in. You start to then spread into the more big disasters. So there's severe weather events. Fortunately, here in the UK, we don't suffer the same as other countries do. We don't have tornadoes, we don't have hurricanes, we don't have earthquakes, we don't have these huge forest fires, though we have had small scale moorland and heathland fires over the last few years in the UK. They can quickly wipe out the local supply chain in your area and prevent resupply of supermarkets, or again, they could force you out of your home. Your area where you live could be affected by these. One thing that is potentially looming on the horizon, we are seeing it now on the bigger end of the scale with the Russia-Ukraine crisis, and that's civil disorder or armed conflict. Again, fortunately, in the UK, we don't suffer from widespread civil disorder. We have had instances, and those of you of a certain age will remember, we've had race riots, we've had the poll tax riots, we've seen lots of disruption with climate change action groups protesting on streets, blocking roads. There's a range of different, not fighting on the streets per se, we have seen some of it, but other things that can cause disruption. Indeed, there's one been going on this last few weeks where protesters, you couldn't really make it up, just at the time when the energy crisis is really hitting and people are really suffering through price rises, you've also got protest groups trying to shut down refineries and make the problem even worse. But that's people for you. And I've often said in numerous videos over the years, people are indeed the biggest problem that you and I will face, either in normal life or, God forbid, in a something hit the fan scenario. People are really wild, unpredictable, dangerous, and a lot of them are not trustworthy. So choose wisely when it comes to who you associate with. And then, of course, we're moving even further up the scale. We've got mass economic meltdown. We've seen that over the last few years, where you have mass redundancies in the workplace, people by the tens of thousands losing their jobs. Unemployment is certainly something that can affect any one of us tomorrow. Nobody in this world really, unless you're Kim Jong-un or one of the Chinese premiers, dictatorship type people, unless you're one of those, nobody's job is truly secure. I've had experience in the past where I've gone into work and been told that we're being made redundant next week. Companies have gone out of business, and I've been unemployed, albeit briefly. I think my longest period of unemployment was probably 3 months, and I'm going back to the 90s. But it's a massive impact. If your paycheck doesn't come in 1 month, how long can you survive without that paycheck? Do you have cash set aside? I learned the lesson a long time ago, and that 3 month period I alluded to earlier, I really struggled. It's surprising how much money goes out to pay the bills every month. So when the paycheck stops, people can really quickly get into deep trouble. So yeah, economic meltdown, mass redundancies, people losing their homes, and then finally we're into the World War III zombie apocalypse. So there are lots and lots and lots of reasons why I prep, and why I encourage others to prep. If the last couple of years have taught us anything, it is how fragile this global economic and supply chain and financial system is. It doesn't take much to just tip it over the edge, and I would suggest that we're actually on that edge right now with all that's going on, and that over the course of the rest of this year, it's quite likely we're going to go headlong and fall down into that little crevasse or big crevasse, and see some really serious issues. So there is no one thing necessarily that I'm prepping for, and there is no one thing necessarily that would cause me to kind of lock down and live solely off my preps. I think the idea really is that, as I'm kind of doing here, you try and build in that resilience in terms of long-term food storage, long-term fuel and water storage, stuff that you can go out and buy today, but at the same time you try and increase your resilience, whether that's through being able to plant and grow as much of your own food as you can, or whether that's finding an alternative means of income if your main source of income suddenly stopped. Having that group of family and friends around you for mutual support, so that if people are experiencing difficulties within your group, you can help each other out. Yeah, so there's building that resilience is something I'm certainly trying to do here. Going longer term, because I'm not that far away from the end of my working life, yeah, it does encourage me to try and increase my resilience, put more money aside for hard times or for sudden job loss, but mainly focusing on what I can produce myself. The supply chain problems aren't going away soon, the price rises aren't going away soon, so it makes even more sense now to try and do as much as I can to be less dependent on the grid and certainly on government. So I hope that answered the question. There is no one thing. If we're talking about major scenarios where, say, with this sudden fall into the crevasse that I was talking about happened, and the supply chain did go into meltdown, or the war in Ukraine did start spreading, then yeah, we're all going to have to start hunkering down at home and living off whatever we've managed to store away, or whatever we can grow or hunt or forage for. So no hard and fast red line. There are lots of things can cause me to suddenly start living off my preps, but keep your eyes peeled, because I do think that this fall into the crevasse is definitely coming soon. So if you're not prepping, last chance, I guess, to start. Stuff is still out there, albeit getting more expensive by the day, and albeit getting less plentiful by the day, but there is still time to do it. And if you are prepping, keep topping up, because we are going to need them quite soon, I think. Anyway, I'm going to try and get some work done. I did a little bit yesterday. There are some video clips I'll melt into this video today, and I'm trying to get some more bits done today. I can't do too much because I am quickly getting tired, as I said, but whatever I am doing, I'll share with you as we go through the video. Stay safe and well. I'll catch up with you shortly. Well, just pulled a red tractor out just to give it a warm through. Stopped and started for a couple of weeks. Could introduce it to the latest edition as well, the little red mower. For those hard to get to places. So be firing that up as well. Might even pull the strimmer out. That's not been started for quite a while now, so a bit of maintenance going on. Everything's working. I suppose I might as well get the generator out as well. Gotta keep these going, keep checking them, and keep doing the basic maintenance, otherwise when the time comes they'll not be ready. go. Just leave these running for 10-15 minutes and put them all away. Well, I just couldn't resist having a run round with a strimmer, so I've just been down the field boundary. I also took the chance to tackle something which I've been meaning to tackle for a while, and that's this this central area where that aggregate pile was a year or two ago. It was a mass of brambles and rose bushes, and I've been in there with the strimmer, cleared a lot of it away. I just need to rake up the debris and get rid of that. I might be tempted to take these last few remaining ones out, but there's some big stuff buried in there, and I just need to be a little bit careful I don't wreck any of the equipment. But hopefully this will thin out enough to get round with the lawnmower or the strimmer, or depending on how it grows back, maybe even little red tractor, I don't know. But it was starting to get really overgrown because it's not been touched since I cleared the aggregate out, and it's been kind of bugging me. Anyway, other things on my mind right now, thinking about raised beds, maybe getting another one put in. I'm conscious that if I'm going to ramp up production of the food, then I need to ramp up the growing facilities. So I'm going to pop another raised bed in the middle and see how I get on. This COVID is draining. I do get worn out much faster than I usually would, so I'm not going to overdo it, not until I start to properly recover, which might be a few days yet. Bees are all out, they're looking very nice. The sun is on this side of the field, as it always is, so they're warmed up and busying themselves. I was tempted to say it's a hive of activity. Would that be too corny? Too late. Well, it wouldn't be the weekend without greenery for the chickens. And today it's fresh grass clippings. Got to try and work this into my routine this year to give them a bit of variety, but also to save on cost of chicken feed. So I've just got a quick run round with the not the little red tractor, the little red mower. And just run around this wooded area here where it grows the quickest. The rest of the field is fine actually. It's not ready for a cut yet, and I don't want to disrupt all the dandelions that are springing into action now we've got some sunshine, because that's food for the bees. Got to juggle my priorities. I've just popped another raised bed in here. It's pretty easy actually, because I've got a few of these pallet collars spare. But how long is it since you saw me with a paintbrush? It's got to be a while. So if you've been missing it, here we go. It's especially for you. Almost there. Well, that's it. Got a coat all round inside and out. So I'll just give it a few minutes to dry. Shouldn't take too long. The sun's starting to fall onto the raised bed now, so I'll let that first coat dry, give it a second coat, and then we're done. It's nice having a compost factory. Well, that's the raised bed, or the new raised bed, done. Surprising how much soil has gone into there. I've put 4.5 wheelbarrows of the compost out the compost bins, plus a bit of a mixture of some old compost out of some buckets in the polytunnel. I'll refresh those. I brought some fresh compost down, so I'm trying to use the shop stuff really for just the seedlings to get them off to a good start before they go into the raised beds. You might remember, astute viewers, this was where the half whiskey barrel was that I planted with sweet corn, so I've just shuffled that across into the corner here. So hopefully we can ramp up a bit more in production this year out of the raised beds. So I've now got these two to fill, plus this one which has got nothing in it yet. So hopefully the seedlings in the polytunnel will get themselves in action and produce some strong seedlings for me. I've had a bit of a tidy out as well in the polytunnel. I've moved a few pots around the back of the polytunnel here. You might remember over a year ago, must be nearly 2 years ago, I took some cuttings from the elderberry trees on the field boundary and just stuck them in, and I'm quite pleased to see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have grown on, and there's a chestnut tree here that actually has come from a chestnut. So hopefully over the next year or so these will grow on and then they can get planted out. The elderberry is a really useful plant. You've seen me use that in a variety of different ways. I do have quite a few along this wooded area, but quite a lot of them are really old now and not producing that much. So the idea is, a bit like the raised beds with succession planting, I can replace those trees with some new ones, or perhaps put them somewhere else on the field. I don't know. There are a couple of patches that probably down this far end that could do with a few more trees in, just to build up the growth along the boundary. I might put them in there, I don't know. Got some strawberries out in trays, so they'll get the afternoon sun. And the lavender bush, I keep taking cuttings from this, and you can see that a couple of them have actually grown. So I'll just do the same with this. I'll just keep taking cuttings through the year and try and grow on more of that, because that will go outside, no problem. Doesn't need to be indoors. That can grow pretty much anywhere on the field and give a little bit more variety for the bees. Anyway, let's get cracked on again and see where else we can get done today. I think I need to sit down now though, because I am a little bit worn out. It's just getting warmer and warmer and warmer in the polytunnel. As I was saying earlier, I'm trying to reduce my dependency on shop bought compost by having those big compost bins for all of the grass cuttings from the field, the leaves in winter time from all of the trees, plus of course the waste and sawdust out of the chicken coop. And the idea is that eventually I'll not need to buy any shop bought compost for my annual planting season. But until then, unfortunately, I still do need to keep topping up. But this new stuff I've got, paid a little bit more than usual, but this is much better than the stuff that I have been getting, which was full of really big lumps and bits of bark and wood chips rather than fine soil. So I'm quite pleased with this. The odd bit here and there, but way better quality than before. I guess that's why it was more expensive. Anyway, so I'll get these seed trays filled up, and I've brought out the big buckets which I use for the tomatoes. So I'm going to fill those up as well, and hopefully the little seeds are planted will germinate and we'll have some tomato seedlings to plant on into the big pots. Time is flying by this year. We're halfway through April already. Doesn't seem like 5 minutes ago we're in the depths of winter, just dreaming about planting. Now we're actually getting on, and over the coming weeks, I guess, we'll be planting and planting and planting as if there's no tomorrow. Anyway, I'm going to get these filled up and I'll come back to you shortly. Well, that's the pots ready for the tomatoes with the new compost. Got the seed trays on the bench, so I'm just going to pop the camera up while I pop some seeds in. Got a bit of a variety going on here. The idea is to get some cabbage, some beetroot, some swede, and a bit of cauliflower. Just trying to edge my bets in case the other trays don't produce. So get a bit of cabbage in this one. These are the ones that I have been using for chicken feed. Like them myself as well. So we'll get a few of those put in. They are fiddly. I'm tempted to move these into the garden room. Oh dear. I don't know whether it's just old age or this bloody COVID, but I'm in shirt sleeves here. It's absolutely roasting again. So that's cabbage, bit of beetroot. These are a bit easy to manage because they're bigger seeds. he said, making a mess. If I can manage to get a decent crop of beetroot, I'll do you a little topical food video. I say topical because of the Russia-Ukraine crisis going on right now. We can make some borscht, traditional Ukraine and Russian dish. Right, that's those in. I get these covered up and we'll do the next one. So making sure the holes are big enough. So we've got cauliflower, I can hear a bee buzzing around somewhere. I'm assuming it's one of mine. That's the cauliflower. Now for the Swede. You can tell it's a bank holiday and the sun's out because there's an endless stream of motorcycles, and some of them are really loud. I had to turn one of the video clips off and start again. They were making so much noise driving by. Just realised I've made a schoolboy error, so I need to rectify that straight away before I forget. Can you guess where I did? Wrong way round. Well, the labels are the wrong way round. So we'll just get these covered up, pop a little bit of fresh compost, just dust the top, make sure the seeds are nicely bedded in, and give it a quick water. I've popped some in the bottom of the tray which will soak up, but I'll just give the top a quick covering, and then this will be ready. Found a big chunk of wood bark in there. Don't know if you can hear the geese in the background. They're kicking up a fuss. The neighbour has geese, and of course there's a big nature reserve pond area just literally across the main road there, which has got wild geese. So every time they fly over, which you've seen in numerous videos, the neighbour's geese get all protective and start kicking up a fuss. Right, that's that one done. Dust it off with compost, give it a water, job's a good one. Right, that's those dusted off and watered, so fingers crossed Mother Nature will do her bit and we've got more trees. Let's get these seeds put back, it'll soon be time to go. Just doing a bit of planting in the chicken coop raised garden. It worked well last year. Planted a mixture of borage and lettuce. We'll see how that comes along. These lettuce seeds are so fine. You just have to sprinkle and hope. it worked well last year, so fingers crossed we'll get similar results this year. A couple more and we're done. Right, let's get those covered up. And give them watering. There we go. Get some water. Well, that's it for another day and another weekend. The time really does fly by. Nice to get the lettuce and borage planted in that little chicken coop raised bed. Also nice to see the new raised bed in the garden area. Itching to get those seedlings grown up so we can actually start filling those raised beds. But Mother Nature can't be rushed. She'll do her own thing and they'll come when they come. Sun keeps going in and out behind some clouds. 1 minute it's scorching hot, the next minute it's overcast. But look at all these dandelions on this field. You might remember last year, all of this field was literally carpeted in dandelions, which is great news for the bees. They'll be loving this, making the most of all these flowers. They've come at exactly the right time. It's amazing what a few days of sunshine can do. And look at that. Bees are all out in force. Nice to see. They're out busy collecting. I'm hoping that those little seeds are planted along this hedgerow area come through soon and give them some bit of succession flowering for the bees. It's all about succession planting, isn't it? Anyway, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, hope you're all staying safe and well and enjoying your bank holiday weekend. I'm going to get myself off home, get this video uploaded and have a bit of a rest. I shall catch you all in the next video. Well, that's it for this video. I hope there was something in there that was of interest to you. If you did like the video, please do click on the like button. Also feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, I welcome any comments, questions or suggestions you might have. Just feel free to leave them in the comments section below. But for now, thanks for watching and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.